Red light, eh? We got green?
Sorry, man.
Idiot.
Just got yelled at pretty aggressively by a dude for walking out in front of his car. Guess I need to pay a little more attention.
Kingston, Ontario, first capital of Canada, where old meets new, home of the tragically hip. Did I mention that we were the first capital? Well, we were, and like any other city with space between its buildings, we've got alleyways.
Kingston's alleyways. They smell like pee, they're all over the place, most of them have bars inside of them. They're pretty cool. Let's go take a look.
We're going to head into Roso Court, which you can see behind me. Kingston's probably best known alleyway. 3 entrances, it sort of triangulates out. The octopus inside of the block. Let's go take a look. And here we are in Roso Court. This is the home to not only the Toucan, one of Kingston's premier old school pubs, located in what I believe is an old stables, one of Kingston's finer high-end restaurants, Chez Piggy behind me over there, I guess it is. Great place to eat. Of course, where are you unless you have one of these to tell you?
As I said, Roso Court does have 3 entrances. This one's off of King Street, and it's probably the most intriguing of the ways to enter. Once you get in here, you really do start to get the impression that you're on your way into some kind of adventure. Now, aside from the 2 other restaurants that I mentioned earlier, there is a 3rd one down here in Roso Court, and that's the Black Dog, which is most easily accessed by the 3rd entrance to Roso Court on Brock Street.
This alleyway also houses one of Kingston's little cool secrets. If you've lived here for any amount of time, you may know about Kingston's wishing stone, which is tucked away down here. Get a little rub going on this bad boy, and anything that you wish for will come true by the time you get to the end of the alleyway. Or is it that end? I can't remember. Now, most people do this when they're pretty drunk. I'll get it. I'll figure it out.
Next up is the most curated stop on our tour, and a real charmer, Martello Alley. Now, this place constitutes its own little community, with residential apartments and retail gallery space blending together in a really organic way. I came around pretty early, and the place doesn't actually open till about 10 o'clock, but the gate was open, so I let myself in and had a little look around.
This is by far the most interesting alleyway in the city. We've got really cool apartments back in here. There's an art gallery. It's even got a gate. You know, Kingston's a prison town, so that tracks. Lots of wonderful stuff in here. Just had a really cool interaction with the owner of the gallery. Saw me on the ring light, door camera, whatever you call it. Anyway, they did mention that was welcome to visit, but this gate here is supposed to be closed, and apparently one of the tenants did not do that. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that for them at their request. That one's pretty cool. This is Alley Cat Antiques, very cool spot. Bought some stuff in there over the years. Kind of an old and new alleyway here. You got your ancient Kingston on this side, and you got your 70s upside down brick. Anyway, another cool alley in Kingston. Yeah, they don't all go places. And this one opens up right on Princess Street, like most of them do. Not really sure what we call this one. I don't think it's got a name. Let's call it Osmo's Alley. There's an Osmo's right over here. Nothing particularly interesting, but as ever in Kingston, there's beautiful old limestone all around you.
You've probably noticed by now that a lot of Kingston's alleyways are just a convenient way to get to a courtyard patio. So a rule of thumb, if you find yourself down a dark alleyway in Kingston, fear not, you're likely just about to have a decent meal and a nice drink. Now I've learned that any good day has an unexpected element to it. So I thought I'd take a little break from my planned route and just wander around a little bit, see if anything presented itself. And something did. Now, full disclosure, I knew where these were heading. It's just kind of fun to do a treasure hunt, particularly when the clues are all written in chalk on the sidewalk. It lends a sense of urgency, like, oh my god, what am I going to do if it rains? And it was in that context that this happened.
We got green?
Sorry, man.
Still kicking myself for not asking this guy to like and subscribe. Now back to the job at hand. This is El Gringo Taco. Great food, a bit of an unorthodox ordering process. Their neighbor's sign is a lot easier to understand.
So this one behind me was originally what we would have called the BK alleyway. It leads from the back of a Burger King that's on Princess Street. What used to go on here, and the reason that it's closed off now, is it was pretty much just a gladiator ground. Fights from the local bars would happen in there because it was mainly just pedestrian pass-through and there was nothing to stop anybody from getting into it. They closed it up years ago. Anyway, over here to the one that is still operational and functions as their drive-through. There's also a pedestrian pass-through, and I know this one seems just a little less glamorous than the others, but it's got its place in Kingston's history. There's a lot of activity that goes on in this particular stretch of Princess Street that we're headed to. It is what's known as Kingston's hub. Really big bars that constitute quite a bit of the nightlife in this part of town. This walkway here is probably one of the first urban alleyways that any Queen student coming to Kingston for the first time is going to pass through, because it lies directly between campus and the hub, which is a handful of bars in my immediate vicinity.
Now, this tour has been by no means comprehensive. There are just too many nooks and crannies in Kingston to fit them all into one little video like this. But there is one last place I wanted to share with you because it surprised even me. Now, one of the best parts about living in Kingston is its endless capacity to surprise. And for a relatively small city, it's got an awful lot of variables. I've been stomping around this place for a long time, and I can still get up in the morning, go out there, and be surprised by something. It's also one of the reasons that there's a deeply held belief amongst the locals that Kingston is in fact the center of the known universe. Now, if you think that's a bold statement, let me know in the comments. Maybe I'll make a video to prove it.
This is definitely one of Kingston's better kept alleyway secrets. I am presently behind the Grand Theatre in Kingston, Ontario on Princess Street, and I've actually performed in this theatre a number of times. I knew there was an alleyway back here, but I didn't know there was this much alleyway back here. We're kind of like deep in the center of this block, and there's all those stairways you see behind me are all access points to the various businesses, but quite a few of them are actually entrances to the theater. Anyway, out we're popping into the main alleyway behind the theater, which runs to back entrance to the Grand Theatre Kingston. And of course, as ever, there's a parking lot. Also, gotta have a parking lot. Big old parking lot. So that may be where we'll wrap things up. Kingston has got quite a few really cool little urban alleyways, but you know what it's got even more of actually, and we may cover that in another video. Let me know in the comments if that's something that interests you. But the residential alleyways of Kingston are arguably more plentiful. So in any event, have a great day.